Alright, recording. Yeah, welcome to another edition of What the Fuck Happenings YouTube Atheist Community and Stickam Fun. Or, yeah, I'm not with it. Tiny chat. Shit. Yes, it was. Anyway, so yeah, Tiny Chat was alright. It was, Piro for a little while, physics, and, his theory that neurons just happen to duplicate microtubules and create consciousness, but it already existed. Yeah, right. Cells want to live, and they desire, they get thirsty and hungry and whatever. They want to watch TV. Anyway, it's just so pathetic. Like this guy, pathetic. Anyway, so yeah, I haven't listened to this new video of his Kantian, but it's not really Kantian. Whatever. Just make it up. Make up some fudgy definition of good, and say, I'm going to be good. I just don't think ethics can be something you individually make up. Yeah, I think there's a truth in the universe about what the right choice was for every decision. Every decision had a right answer. An answer that would have caused less suffering, basically, and would have permitted whatever good that was good enough to justify the suffering. So, for example, feeding the poor. Now, feeding the poor seems obviously a good. Everybody say, oh, go feed the poor. The poor are starving. Feed the poor. The poor are starving. But then you have to consider, what are the poor going to do with the food? And if the poor are going to make little Frankenstein hungry monsters, uncontrollably, more of them, generations of them, create huge future liabilities. It's like buying a car and finding out it might blow your house up. You just don't do that. You don't accept something that carries with it some risk of much greater horror. So yeah, you'd have to consider, well, what's the implications of feeding the poor? And if you know the implications of feeding the poor are you will have more poor people to feed next year, then you got to say it's not the right thing to feed the poor, because it makes more poor people. And making more poor people is much worse than having some poor people starve to death now. Having them starve to death once is a lot better than having them starve to death over and over and over again. Just as it's like a lot better for you to just die, okay, like your parents forced you to die, and not pass on dying to your children. Don't give them the gift of dying, and then they won't have to do it, and there won't be any more dying, and you'll save the mess of dying. There won't be any more of it. So yeah, this definition of good, alright, has to be qualified by something. And if it's just going to be qualified by a bunch of cliches, life is good, sorry. It's always good. It's always worth saving. It's always worth preserving. Yeah, all that crap doesn't mean anything. Every life is worth saving. Well, every life isn't. It's just a fact. And you have to use some, you have to have some values to fill in for the variables. You have to have a constants. You have to establish what it has some value here before you can talk about any ethics that mean anything. Because like I said, if you're just going to make it up based on, well, everybody likes oranges don't offend anybody, well, then you're just making it up, and you're just doing this based on cultural evolution. Values, ethics based on cultural evolution. As if that's the truth. And it's not the truth, in my opinion. Bad cultures were bad cultures. We can look back at the past and we could say it's just wrong to be throwing virgins into volcanoes because you have a delusionary notion that somehow it's going to make the crops better next year. It's just wrong. Okay, you might think it's right because you have a delusion, but it's wrong. It was wrong. It was wrong to own slaves. These things were wrong. Okay, yeah, the people who did it were dumb. They made a mistake. They were in error. And that has to be weeded out. The whole point of defining ethics is weeding out the error. I don't think he's going to do that. So there's no real point. He's just expressing what he's fond of. And he'll just say, these are the things I value. And so if we love these things, everything will be fine. And no, because he's ignoring what it costs. So again, I can, by ethical definitions, by rational ethical definitions, I can make a lot of things sound really stupid. Like the Super Bowl, because people die driving there. Or, you know, just you can just go down the list of all the things that you can make sound stupid by just really adding up what it cost civilization, how much it actually cost to have this stupid thing. And people just don't measure real costs. They don't think about real costs. And the real cost of procreation is not only all the kids that will die, all the diseases, all the disabilities, and then all the horrible deaths. That's the price for this notion that it's somehow a good idea to make living things. But there's just no evidence that it's a good idea. There's no evidence that there's enough good in the little happy people shopping at Walmart. Okay, that's the people having fun shopping at Walmart. There's no evidence that those people make up for the people who are suffering making the crap they're buying in Walmart. So, yeah, no, that's enough of a statement. But yeah, values have to be. There's a truth. Either you believe there's truth in the universe, there's facts, there's reality, or you believe that whatever, the silly, we just make it up as we go along shit. So there's either a more rational theory of value, of what means something, and I'm going to argue that suffering means something, always means something, and you always need a good reason to impose it. And depending on how much suffering it is you're imposing, that's how high your good reason has to be. You have to get, the reason has to get damn good when you're talking about imposing the risk of a horrible death. And the fact that you have an urge, your urge versus horrible death, well, that just doesn't seem to me in any way possible that those two things could be evened out or equaled out. That gratifying your urge is worth the worst case scenario happening to an individual who never volunteered. Yeah, no chance. So I don't even know if he's going to get into the argument from consent, which is just makes it so, it slams the door so close. It's like, it's not even, it's a nail gun on the coffin. I mean, it just makes it impossible to escape as an ethically clean and decent human being when you're imposing this risk. You haven't lived long enough to die yet, and yet you're going to tell somebody else it's worth it because you say so. Yeah, right. You're going to invest their balls in your judgment. Where does that make, how can that possibly make sense? You're going to invest somebody else's welfare in your judgment. You think you're so fucking qualified. You're such a very good driver. You're going to stick somebody else is going to be your hood ornament. I mean, that kind of arrogance is just so obnoxious. So anyway, and the reason why you people get away with it is because you just keep pointing to some, well, he did it, well, he did it, well, he did it, well, he's an arrogant fuck, and she is, and she is, and she is. And so you make excuses for each other, and that's it. But you're just obnoxiously arrogant bastards to think you have control over this experiment, that you know it's all going to be all right. You know no such fucking thing, and you have every reason to be scared to death that it's going to be exactly the opposite. Like I said, most people end up dead or disabled by the time they hit 70 years old. If they hit, you know, well, they don't, the dead don't hit there. But you know what I mean. They would have been 70. So by the time your kid would have been 70, if he isn't disabled, he's dead. And there's only a small percentage who have survived to 70 with everything working out just fine. And so the odds are against you, and that's the fact. The odds are against your delusion working out, your fantasy, your fable, your fairy tale. So anyway, it's sort of an anti-natalist video, I guess. It wasn't my intention, but It is real ethics. That's real ethics. It's real ethics to sit there and say it straight and say, look, we know this shit is serious business. You want to keep pretending suffering isn't serious? No, it's serious. So you glib fuckers need somebody to smack you in the head and say, quit being a glib asshole. Okay? It's serious shit. If the serious shit was happening to you, you would know it's serious shit. So if it was in your pocket, you'd know this was serious shit. You know, if you had that hunk of nitroglycerin up your ass, you'd say, yes, somebody please take it seriously. Don't, no, walk too heavy. Yeah, don't make any loud noises. Anyway, okay, that's probably enough now. So do I have anything else to say about atheism in general on the internet, on the YouTubes? Yeah, the atheists all suck. Yeah, there really isn't anything happening here. It's just a bunch of fluff. I don't know what Healthy Addict was talking about. Let's see. Man book, pastor turned atheist and toxins. Oh, whatever. Yeah, then toxins. The new Hitler. Yeah, the new Hitler is toxins. It's just, yeah. No, that's life. Life is toxic. Okay? It is. If it ain't gonna get you one way, it's gonna get you another way. It's going to eat you alive. You bastards. So anyway. So there, that's enough of the video. Sorry, very pessimistic. I mean, I just had one, you know. The furnace at the neighbor house fried, all the electrical wires all melted and shit. I had to fiddle with it and try to get it to just barely work, which I did, but I can't find the friggin' parts anywhere, and it's like, you know, I hate, yeah, I hate having the responsibility to have to do anything. I hate working. I really hate it. Anyway, somebody's gonna do it, I guess, including me. So anyway, I don't think there's anything else. So let's see, somebody did something really stupid. Oh, that's Thunderfoot video. Jeez, Thunderfoot's so really stupid is the definition of Thunderfoot, actually. Waste of time. Anyway. Yeah, I'm just going through his idiotic, like, yeah, right. A woman isn't raped if she doesn't run to the police. She has no right to complain unless she goes to the police. Oh, okay. Fucking idiot. Anyway. Yeah, that's enough. And they're all liars. All the women are liars. Everybody knows that. Anyway. I mean, we use the same standards. We put all of the men in jail because they're all serial killers, because most of the serial killers are men. So, yeah, all men are, you know, evil, raping bastards, if we use his logic. All women are liars and all men are rapists. So we're just, yeah, that doesn't go anywhere. Well, men are probably molesters of some kind anyway. They probably would steal it if it's right there. Nature of the beast and whatnot. Anyway, that was probably just totally unnecessary add-on, but that's what you get. Sometimes the unnecessary happens. Cat's comfortable though, so that's good. Yeah, really, I just didn't get nearly enough sleep and too much stress for one day. Just can't take stress like I can never take stress actually. So I take it less, I take it worse than I used to take it, which was badly. I'm even less interested in stress now. But anyway, I mean, I really don't want to have to work for this living thing. If it becomes any kind of work to be alive, fuck it. Ugh.